Hey everyone, it's Rebecca Undem, founder of How Mommy Got Her Groove Back. Here it is, How Mommy Got Her Groove Back, and founder of Groove School. So I am so excited to be here live with you all today, launching the first Facebook Live show for this business of mine, and I'm thrilled to have you here. If you are just hopping on, I would love to just hear from you. Just say, hey, hi. It's Monday morning. I decided that I was going to do this on Monday because I thought, we all just need that boost of motivation, I think, when we start a new week. And I just feel a little bit sorry for all of you. I'm not going to be properly caffeinated quite yet. I'm working on it though in my Corn Growers, North Dakota Corn Growers Association mug, because that's how I roll. It's big, it's insulated, right? And it's supporting farmers, which is my deal. So I am coming at you live from rural North Dakota. So for those of you that are joining, I would love to see where you're from as well. So if you have a second in the comments, go ahead and say where you're joining us from. So yeah, I'm excited, super excited to be here. So I'll tell you a little bit about what precipitated this decision to add the live Facebook show into my lineup. But really it comes from, so a couple things. I guess we'll start with this. I shared the fact that I'm an author. I wrote a book. So this book is really my personal story. It's my family story. If you want to know who I'd be as a coach or a support person for you in your life, looking at what I do for my work, read the book. It's kind of, I say it's an open book, and it is. So I'd love for you to read that. It really, though, for me is about this idea of finding your groove is about feeling like you're still you and learning somehow, figuring out somehow how to juggle all of the priorities and the things that you've got going on in your life. And in my story, I talk a lot about there's a couple of key things. Like one of the things is that I said I would never do certain things. Like I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to do that. Well, lo and behold, here I am so much time later doing exactly those things that I said I would never do. And so I want to give women in particular the encouragement and the permission. And not that I can give you permission, you have to give that to yourself, but to change your mind and to be okay with it. Because, being the smart girl and being the girl that does all the right things, I'm a good girl. I don't screw up and or at least I shouldn't, right? Lakeville. Hey, Kirsten. Love you. Love you. Love you. Got a few other people on. Thanks so much. She's the first one to say hi. So she gets my love first. Kirsten, I'm so happy to have you here. Being a good girl is a challenging thing because I think it's good in some respects and yet it holds us back in other ways. And so I talk about some of that in the book as well. And just how I found my way back to myself after moving back to a very rural community. So for all of you that are out there in rural communities, love ya. Hey, Patrick. Boys are allowed here, Patrick Kirby. Please hang out with us. You'll add a fun dimension. You're a cool guy too, so you're welcome to join us. Brenda, good morning. So it's just kind of telling a little bit about what precipitated this decision to do Facebook Live. And so I had the book, and then shortly after that, immediately after that, I wrote this companion workbook. So it's 86 pages. It's called the Groove Finder's Guide series. So 14 ways to find your groove. This is a physical copy. For joining me here, you get the freebie of downloading this. It's pretty in color too, the PDF version for free. But I am a professional development junkie. This is my world. This is what I do. And so Facebook Live just felt like a really fun way to talk to people. And then you can talk back to me, which I really love. And again, being in a very rural place has changed so much about how I am able to connect with people, and connection is really all that matters to me. So here we are, Facebook Live. So I'm really excited to have you all here. Okay, so let's get into the topic and just talk a little bit about it. These are going to be relatively short, probably 20 minutes or less, I'm guessing. And I'm already 5 minutes in with my pre-ramble, so that's exciting. It should be called a preamble, but I called it a pre-ramble because that's more accurate. And my dog is, this is a funny thing too about live, he's freaking out under here. I don't know what's going on. It's okay. Chill. Okay, visualization. I would love to see from you in the comments how many of you have ever either written a vision or have like gone through the process of making a vision board. So just like me, if you have, I would love to see those of you that have. So I think visions and visualization as a concept is not overly sexy. Like it doesn't feel strategic, and people, I think, really underestimate its value. Patrick Kirby, me, the boy, chimed up first. I love that. Okay, so I think at some point we all, it came into our space, the idea of The Secret or the law of attraction and this whole thing. And I think a lot of us now, then we kind of got on the vision board kick, like what should a vision board look like and how do we create one? And then I think that a lot of us have done it, but I'm not certain, at least I'm thinking, that most of us are missing some of the superpower that's inherent in the process of actually writing a compelling vision that means something. So really this kickoff today is kind of in next week's Monday session. It'll always be on Monday at 9 a.m., like barring catastrophe in my life. It's almost like a two-part series. So we're talking about vision because I think this is really such a great starting point. Brenda, thanks to me, now you have a Pinterest vision board, which is so awesome. When we get done with kind of the process of it next week, I'll talk about affirming visions, but the Pinterest vision board like changed my world. It was awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Brenda. So this whole thing with visions, when we get to next week, it'll be like this two-part. Like I said, we're really talking today about visualization, which is the root kind of concept behind vision. Next week, we're going to look at the whole process. How do you actually write one that means something? So for me, this isn't just okay, so vision boards, some of you have them. I'm wondering some of the things you put on them, because oftentimes, I remember the first vision board I ever did. It was terrible, and I didn't know what I was doing really, which obviously all you're doing is you're picking out pictures that resonate or speak to you somehow, and then you plaster them on a board, right? And then you hang it up. That was what I did. And it meant very little to me. I didn't understand the power of visualization. So for those of you that have them, did you put like a car on them? Was it a house? Is it like pictures of happy people? I mean, I remember the one time I was like, me and my hubby, we got to get better at this whole like sex is awesome. And even with little kids, like we love it. I love it. Let's just be real. It was more me that needed to do the work on this. So I had like this big O in the corner and like hot bikini body and all this stuff. So yeah, some of it was, it's physical, material things. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having those things in a vision. The thing that I think that we're missing is true visualization, okay? So not just the stuff, not just the things, and maybe even its goals. It's not even just the goals. It is about actually what happens to your brain when we give it something descriptive and meaningful to look at. Okay, so I've got notes because clearly you guys, I need notes. You guys need me to need notes. So this isn't so much about what you choose to put on it, but it's about how you do it and why. Most importantly, why you would take the time to write a vision at all, okay? So visualization is really about cheating your brain. I mean, that's like bare bones. That's why visualization works. Okay, so as crazy as it seems, our brains can't distinguish the difference between something that's actually happened and something that it's imagined, it is imagining. As long as what it is imagining is descriptive, graphic, and detailed enough, our brain can't tell if it's happened or not. And so one of the most clear examples for me, like in my life, is when I have a dream. Okay, so I've had a couple of recurring dreams. It's not recurring, I shouldn't call it recurring, but it's happened more than once, where my husband steps out on me, okay, in this dream. I wake up so full of fury and I'm so angry and I'm so mad at him. The poor man's just been sleeping there next to me. I can wake up and I can realistically know that none of that happened, but the dream was so vivid. Your brain doesn't know the difference, and the feelings that rush into your body are the same as if it happened. I know, poor dude, right? But that's, if you've ever had a scary dream, if you've ever had a dream is a really good example of that. It's not real, it's not happening, but your brain certainly doesn't know the difference in the moment, okay? A lot of times we correlate the process of a visualization process, we correlate it to sports. Okay, so let's take Michael Phelps. Books have been written about him. Whole documentaries have been written. I mean, yeah, until he started smoking weed, but whatever. He's the most decorated Olympic swimmer in our history. He absolutely used visualization to basically swim his events ahead of time. That's what he, when he's walking around, people think he's like jamming out to music. He's literally swimming the event in his mind. It's crazy. They've done studies on this. Like, they'll hook athletes, Olympic athletes usually, up to electrodes, and they're all over their body, and they have them imagine as deeply and detailed as they can, using all five senses. Like, what are you smelling? What are you seeing? What are you feeling? All of everything. They engage all the senses, and all of their muscles fire, like they're actually running the race or swimming the race. So there's power in it. And really, it's to get their minds trained to what it looks like and what it feels like. So it's almost like they're doing it out of habit more than anything else. Okay, so I don't love sports analogies I'm telling you, like, I'm giving, so there's at least a couple men on the call now. So there's your sports dudes. Like, sports is clearly a method where visualization is valuable, and they use it. So dreams is something that I think most of us can relate to, but I think even more so, the best analogy to writing a quality vision is to think about it like a movie script. Okay, so I've got a question for you. What are you binge watching right now on Netflix? So there's a little delay here on Facebook, so I'm gonna let that question land, and then I wanna hear what you guys are watching. I'll tell you, for me, it's, I'm almost finished with the newest season of Orange is the New Black. My husband and I get into House of Cards. We're finding this newest one just a little bit, like, kind of boring. But Game of Thrones is coming back, like, not even 2 weeks. They're coming back. I think it's 2 weeks-ish. Royal Pains. I've never watched Royal Pains. That's exciting. Okay, hit me with a few more. I've told you what I'm watching, which is it's a peek into people's craziness, because Orange is the New Black is a crazy show, and I'm watching it. Okay, so while some other, thanks, Jesse. It's nice to have you on here too, by the way. While some other shows land here in the comments, I want to talk for a second about Game of Thrones, because that has some of the most twisted writing I've seen in a while. And in Orange is the New Black has really twisted writing too, along with The Walking Dead. Kirsten, Game of Thrones, right? The Walking Dead also has just this really intense writing. And so, okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. We're talking about characters, okay? Oh, Steph, you're better than me. You don't watch any Netflix or TV. Yeah, it wastes inordinate amounts of time just watching Netflix and TV shows. So let's talk about characters for a second, okay? So Game of Thrones, there's one particular character that stands out to me. Facebook Live, this is the one thing. So the comments land, and then I giggle. So Pat says, does diners, drive-ins, and dives count? Binge watching it? Yeah, sure. And maybe Guy, the lead guy on the show, maybe he's a character you can relate to in this, Patrick. I don't know. But let's talk about the characters. So in Game of Thrones, there was a character who was a child. Okay, his character was a child, and I despised him. Okay, so he'd come on the screen with his like shrewd, pinched little face, and I wanted to literally punch him out. And I actually said to my husband, it's so funny, we're talking about visualization and the power and the emotion. He'd come on and I would say, I want to kill that kid. Like, I hate that kid. And Jeremiah was like, I think that's a strong reaction. And it is, right? But it was Joffrey, King Joffrey, for any of you that watched that show. They made him so despicable that I felt anger and not frustration, but just, he was deplorable to me. That's what I felt when I looked at him. And I was literally glad when he kicked the bucket. poison. Someone poisoned him because they didn't like him either. That is what we're talking about. The fact that I can sit in my living room. Kate Negan on Walking Dead, another great example of somebody that I love to hate. So looking at characters, the fact is when we're sitting there, logically, our brains know full well that these are actors. We know that they're actors. We know that they are not really as despicable. They could be, but we assume that, they're in character. The logic parts of our brain knows that. But when we're watching it, if it is good writing and the actor is embodying everything about that character that they are supposed to be, there are real emotions taking place in our hearts. Real emotion is happening when we're watching it, regardless of the fact that we know it's not real. That is the power of visualization. And it's so funny. I asked my husband, I'm like, can you think of Agent Stahl on Shades of Blue? Nice. Oh, he's angry. He's an angry person, Jesse. I don't know who Agent Stahl is, but I love that. She's like lots of little angry faces. Crazy thing is that I asked my husband, I'm like, can you think of just a completely lovable character that like uniformly everybody loves? That's a lot harder. Maybe you guys will come up with something once this hits your ears and you can answer it. But the only person I could think of was Elf. Will Ferrell's character on Elf. Buddy the Elf. Like, even in your mind, you're like, you're so dumb, and oh, he's old and he's doesn't know anything, and that's so shameful. And yet we love him. I love him. I hope you guys love him as much as I do. But the truth is, again, it is about well-written movies, well-written shows, well-written characters have depth, and they've got detail, and they've got description that make us believe them. And that is what we have to do when we write our own visions for our lives. And I just don't think we are stopping on this. Like, we're going through the process and we're putting pictures up on a board. But I bet unless you've worked with me on it and I've coached you to do this, I would guess that you're looking at it and you don't necessarily feel anything. They're pretty images and you're like, oh, that's nice. That's not good enough. And this isn't really, I'm going to tell you, this isn't really law of attraction stuff. It's because for me, like, I believe in some of that and not like, I can't get all the way there. Like, I'm not a devotee of the law of attraction, but I think that there's some real merit in really getting crystal clear about what it is that you want. Okay, so like I shared earlier, next week, on next week's live call, I'm going to be actually sharing the 7-step process to writing a compelling vision. But this is the first thing that has to happen, okay? So meaningful visions really aren't about a good process. That's not what makes them stick, and it's not what makes them successful for you in your life. Really, it is about you figuring out how you want to feel in a certain realm of your life. So like for me, I've got a vision written in 5 areas of my life. I've got a vision for my kids. I've got a vision for my relationships. I've got a vision for my career, my health, and spirit or spirituality. And for me, it's religion, right? Like my connection to God. I've got a vision for those 5 areas of my life. Okay, so today, if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't even know how to start. Well, first of all, next week you'll get a whole process, and it's good and it works. And I've coached lots of people through it. I can help you too. But the first thing to do is, I would say first to identify what needle are you trying to move. Like, is it career? And get clear on this first, because once you get a handle on doing it the first time, you can apply it to any area of your life. It doesn't matter. But I would focus on the one where maybe you feel like you just don't feel as groovy. Okay, so for me, groove is just that, like, you're in a flow, you're kind of feeling, well, you feel like yourself. You feel like yourself and you're in a flow, time could stand still, all of those things. And everything just feels to be kind of jiving. So if you're feeling out of balance or out of whack in a certain area of your life, or maybe you just started something new, like you started a new job, or you are taking on a side business, or you're starting a new business of your own. I have no idea what you all are going through out there. But the thing is, at any part of your life, you can take this process that we're going to learn next week and apply it. And I'm telling you, if you get this first part down and you get really clear on what it is you want to feel, the 7-step process will be so much easier. So if you want to follow along and do this with us, here's kind of your homework, okay? So sit down, identify the one area of your life. And honestly, I would love to hear from you. Like, if you're like, oh, I need to write a vision on, my health, which I am not your guru for health. Let me just say, I'm actually not your guru for anything. I'm a people development person, so that's my jam. But let's say it's your health and you're like, oh, so summer's here and we didn't, maybe your goal was to get into a 2-piece and you're like, I'm not quite there and summer's not over and you still have time. So maybe that's it. And that's what you want to work on. The first, you can either post them in here and just say, yeah, this is the area, or you can, come into if you're not in the Groove Seekers community, that's a free community. You could absolutely share your wins in there or message me. I don't care. If you want me to know what you're working on, I'd love to hear it. So first thing, pick your area, the area that you're going to work on, that you're going to write this vision about. The second thing is to think about what it is, like what is the goal? What is the achievement? So we're moving a needle. How far are we moving it? What is the end state supposed to look like for you? And this isn't about getting clear necessarily on number of pounds lost or a specific size. If you work well with that, then that's absolutely fine. But this is more just about what are you hoping to achieve? What are you hoping to feel? And you want to get so clear about all of the feelings that you would have if you achieve that goal, whatever it is. Is it pride? Is it joy? Is it freedom? Is it, just there's tons of feelings that we can feel and we don't explore kind of the whole realm of them enough. And this is what we're looking at for just this piece, is getting clear on how do we want to feel in that area of your life. So when I think about me and my spouse, I want us to feel connected. I want us to feel like a partnership. I want us to feel in love. These things are all the things that I want to feel. And so just do a brain dump. And another thing I'll suggest to you, if you're really serious about writing a vision, another powerful thing to do prior to the process that we're going to look at next Monday is to really do a brain dump of everything that didn't work or isn't working. Because sometimes that's where we have to start. Like, we don't know how to turn things around, but you can identify what's not working or what you're not enjoying about that area, that given area of your life. So there's kind of 2 takeaways for you. If you want to come along and join us and write a vision for an area of your life, the first thing to do is identify which one you really want to focus on first. Do a brain dump of what's not working well, and then do a brain dump of what you want to feel. And feelings are the thing. Because, if you think about this, like next week when we look at the process, if you think about this as if you're writing a movie script, at a minimum, you should be the leading character. Like, put yourself in this and really think about what you want. One of the things we do a lot of times when we're setting goals, because especially if you have a family, you think about what your spouse wants, what your husband wants or your wife wants. You think about maybe what your kids want. This is the time that you've got to be fairly selfish, because when you are fulfilled and when you are your grooviest, best self, they win. They win without any extra focus on them. Now, again, I actually wrote a vision for my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my kids. So absolutely, they're a big focus of that, but it's still about me, because we can't change other people. We make other people in our lives better by becoming better ourselves. That's why I'm a personal development junkie, because I can't help myself, because I actually believe that that's true. That no area of our life is untouched when we positively make changes in our lives. That's why we have to take some time for ourselves. Okay, so let's see if I missed anything here. Basically, if you want to do this with us, I would love to support you in writing your first vision or the best vision you've ever written, if you've done this before. So next week is when we'll look at the entire 7-step process, and it'll get you moving in the right direction for sure. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have another drink of my coffee while I ask the question, what questions can I answer at this point? I didn't give you a lot of, meat, because the meat will come kind of in the process, but I wanted to not overlook this step, because I'm serious. You can put a bunch of stuff down on a vision board, but that doesn't mean anything if it doesn't invoke any feelings in you when you look at it. So it's really about getting clear on what you want to feel. Okay, so any other questions or thoughts or comments? Who's going to join us? Who's going to join me in this? Who's going to do it? Because I would love to support you through it. Again, corn growers. Go America. All right, well, I'm going to wait and see, like, I'll do it. That's what I want to see. A little of that going on in the comments. I don't know how long the lag is, but I know it's substantial, so it's kind of a challenge, but that's okay. So real quick, before we go, because gosh, here we are, 25 minutes. Isn't that something? What hangups should we avoid while doing this vision board? You know what, Patrick? I think the biggest hangup to avoid is putting things on there that you think you should want for yourself. Okay, and that sounds really crazy, but like we all day long are bombarded by messages from other people. Sometimes they're people we love. Sometimes they're people that have no right to say anything, but we get that lovely unsolicited advice. And Pat, I'm glad you're in. I'm glad you're in on this because I think you're really going to love this. The hardest thing is that we are literally marketed to nonstop. We are advertised to nonstop. And again, sometimes it's people that actually care about us, and a lot of times their hesitations or their advice is because they're trying to protect us from ourselves, basically. The biggest thing is to do this in somewhat of a vacuum by yourself, with yourself, and you got to really think about what you want. And it's a hard thing to do. Like, I grew up in the Midwest. I'm back in my rural community. I was taught not to brag. I was taught this whole thing like, well, do I really need that? Even if I don't need it, doesn't mean it's not a worthy thing to want to pursue. So like knowing when is enough and all of that, blow all of those, like blow the doors off of your mind and don't let anything in other than your own thoughts and feelings. That's got to be the motivator in this. That's like the biggest hang up is to allow yourself to be marketed basically into chasing somebody else's dreams and somebody else's goals. This is why I hate SMART goals too, friends. I hate SMART goals. And it's because of the connotation with them. They're almost always corporate driven, which means at one point I sat down with the boss and they said, well, here's our cascading goals. And so this is what your goal needs to be. Now let's put it on, let's make it SMART and then it's yours. It doesn't make it mine at all. It still is somebody else's goal. So that's the biggest hang up, is to make sure, you know, I'll just say it. I've got a lot of people in the network marketing world that work with me. And I think it is so easy to see all the success and all the levels that other people achieve and think, well, I want that. Of course I want that. It's a free trip or a free car or a free whatever. Just because that's the levels of success that are benchmarked in the company you're with doesn't necessarily mean that has to be what your goals and your dreams ought to look like. Like, what you're in for making money is a vehicle. And if you're creating your own vehicle, like I am with my business, there's more to it than just financial gain for me, right? Like, I am trying to actually help people. And again, like network marketing does that too. But that's the thing to always think about, is why am I really doing this? What is this about? Is it about me? Is it about the car? Is it about the trip? It's got to be about something more than that, or you'll lose steam over time. This is a really long answer, but man, I get really hung up. Talk about hang-ups, Patrick, I get hung up on that. I get really passionate about that. That you can't chase somebody else's dream. No matter how exciting and awesome it seems, it just doesn't work long term. Okay, so other comments or questions for me before we go? I'm so happy to have you all here. I'm thrilled, and I'll be sharing obviously the replay. So those of you that have joined late, or anybody coming on in the replay, thank you as well for joining. Okay, so here's the freebie that everybody watching live or on the replay gets. Now, this is a physical copy. I will not be mailing physical copies. And I'm telling you, frankly, it's funny. We designed it in color. And so you're going to get the free PDF version, which is really pretty. So it's a really awesome guide. We printed them in black and white because literally they would have been like $30 a stupid workbook, which is more expensive than the book, which doesn't make any sense, right? So this is the companion workbook to How Mommy Got Her Groove Back. And a lot of the topics that we'll be talking about in the Facebook Live show will be, can be expounded upon in the workbook, and you get it for free. So right now, I'm going to pop this in the comments for you all, because I don't have an assistant. Like, this is my jam, guys. I do it all myself. Okay, RebeccaUndem.com/workbook. You can enter your email address in there, and then of course you'll get updates from me as well, so don't freak out, but that's kind of how it works. And then you get your download for free, completely for free. Okay, I can't wait to hear from all of you. If you decide to join us in kind of this challenge of writing the vision and go through this process with us over the next couple of weeks, make sure you join the free group, the Groove Seekers community. It's free on Facebook. When you go just to the header of the business page where you're at watching this replay, there's a link right there to join. I would love to help you and support you. So as always, you can reach me by email. It's Rebecca@RebeccaUndem.com. My Facebook business page is just Rebecca Undem. RebeccaUndem.com is where my blog lies. You can check everything out there. But this is important. This is important work, and because you are important. And for all of us that struggle and get wrapped up in the hustle of service to everybody else, God bless you. Like, that work is really important. But being able to slow down and say, what do I really need to feel centered and to feel balanced and to feel fulfilled and to feel groovy? It's never a waste of time or effort, because you show up better for everybody else when you take care of you. Okay? So with that, have a kick-ass week, everybody, and of course, groove on, and feel free to share this out with your friends, and if you have any tips or ideas for me about things you'd love for me to cover, hit me up. I'd love to hear them, okay? Have an awesome day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon.